I always start with a giggle, Katrina, because when I'm excited about a new conversation, I'm like, this is going to be a fun one. Right, so hi
Uh-huh.
and welcome to the Mind Management Mentors podcast, the podcast which is growing and growing in stature on a daily basis. We've got some new things coming for the Mind Management Mentors membership, which is we're going to be talking about very, very shortly on later podcasts. But we need to let you know that today is one for the coaches. This is one for coaches and understanding a really powerful concept that a lot of people might not be able to get the grasp around because I think there's a key difference. But before we go into that, Katrina, as if you were on blind date in the UK, introduce yourself, tell me who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
I'm Katrina Horn, and I was born in Denmark an awful long time ago. Decided I wanted to play the harp, and then I decided why not do that in London, UK? And of course, everybody told me, well, you can't just do that. But then I did. And that just got me thinking that maybe if we just sort of get really clear about what it is we want and we just go after it, well, we might just succeed. So that's really how I've been progressing through my long life. And so now I find myself living in the south of France
Oh.
with my gorgeous husband in a gorgeous house, lots of leisure time and lots of community. I'm a life coach, so I do enjoy being with other people and finding out what makes them tick.
That's a great concept to have, find out how people tick. And today's subject is something that we've never talked about before on the Mind Management Mind Management Mentors podcast. So I think this is a really cool subject that a lot of people go, well, first of all, what is the difference? Why is there a difference? Because I had to reframe something about myself because emotions play a big part in this. So if we're not, emotionally aware, then we have a duty to ourselves to be able to work on this subject. So, Katrina, before we find out what that subject is, I'm always keen to find out, was there a tipping point or was there a story that led you into life coaching? Because a lot of people find life coaching because they found it helpful and beneficial for them to get themselves out of where they were. So what's the journey for Katrina into life coaching?
That's an excellent question. I was just having a new thought as you were saying that. I was thinking, well, actually, uh, I didn't come to life coaching through life coaching. I just came to life coaching through see the needless suffering of people. Like I was a teacher for a brief spell in my life, and I saw that there are lots of unhappy teenagers and they had unhappy parents. And I thought, wow, I can just tell them to blah, 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 and then they will be happy. And so I did, but they weren't.
Mm.
And so that really led me to ask myself an awful lot of questions. And that's how I became a life coach. So I would say that I became a coach so that I could better speak to people at the place where they are at now. And so not presuming that they are like me, which we mostly do when we speak to people, but
There.
when we put our coaching hats on, we know that somebody else could have a completely different worldview, and that somebody else might be just as right as we are, or just as wrong as we are if we wanted to think in right and wrong.
Well, that
So
happens a
if
lot.
we put all of that aside and just focus on the person, then what becomes possible? And that's really something that I'm fascinated by.
That is very, very cool. I like that, looking at different people's worldview and realizing that we might not all be right, or maybe they are right, and we have to say, I love that. That's a clever concept because ego plays a part in that, doesn't it? Let's be honest, ego plays a big part. And I know that I struggled with ego many, many years ago, which is actually why I had the nervous breakdown, to be fair. It was all ego based, which is fear based. And it's still, and I'm always very honest. With self-awareness, I have to check in on it again. I'm thinking, has it started again? Is ego there? Is it playing the devil's advocate? And as I'm talking to you, I'm like, I think there has been some instances of that recently. And I'm like, you know what? We have to keep it in check, understand where that ego pops up, the right and the wrong, and seeing other people's points of view. I get that. I 100% get that. So what we're going to be talking about today, by the way, the fact that you live in the Alps, I think that is a phenomenal, by the way. For I don't think I've ever met anybody that lives in the Alps.
Well, why wouldn't you?
That's, can you ski? Is it snowing? Have you got snow outside
Yeah.
right now?
It's actually snowing today, and there
Oh.
was already snow there. So this weekend we're off on a cross-country trip.
Oh, I love snow. That's the reason I moved to Scotland. I
Ah,
love snow. And we don't get that much in the part of Scotland that I'm from. So yeah, I've got a little bit of envy there for you. So let's dive in to a really powerful concept for people for impulse versus intuition. That is Katrina's subject of expert and insight. I think is something that Pat it always pops up on my chat GPT when I'm doing descriptions. So let's talk about the difference between impulse and intuition.
yeah. So impulse comes from your ego, and intuition comes from your higher self. Boom. End of discussion.
That's it. The podcast is finished. Thank you very much. Thanks for staying in part of the podcast, and we'll see you next week. Right. I never heard it like that before.
So, in our ego mind, we are always very busy, aren't we? Because we find comfort in busyness. All this going on, I must be somebody really important. Let me never be quiet. Let me never rest. Let me never sit and be bored. Let me never have an empty space in my mind. Like, let's just have all these thoughts come up all the time and let me get really lost in them because then I know that I'm alive. So, that is how our ego functions. So, our ego is also like our survival mind, isn't it? It's like sort of the animal part of us who
Mm,
wants to keep alive all the time. So we're willing to do anything just to stay alive. So we have all these impulses that we can choose to react on that will keep us alive. And so nothing wrong with that, except when we get it wrong in our ego minds, when we think what could be helpful is really scary. So let's say that I go out in Paris on an evening out and I meet this gorgeous guy and I think, wow, he is fantastic.
right.
Wow. And then he invites me over to his table for a drink and I'm getting really excited. But then I get this impulse to do something non-conducive to the evening going the way I wanted it to, and I might run away. I might say the wrong thing. I might act in a way that doesn't reflect who I am. I might sabotage in any other way through an impulse, just through impulse, because this is an unfamiliar situation for me. My ego mind has not normalized that I can be liked by a gorgeous man or that it can be so easy to connect with somebody of my dreams. So I, our impulses sometimes sabotage us, is where I want to get to.
Mm,
Because an impulse is something we react to very
that's it.
easily because we have not taken the time to step back and don't want to say analyze, but feel into the situation. So it's sort of just a reaction we come up to with an impulse. We've got an impulse to, let's say that gorgeous man just asked me to marry him. And I go, wow. And then I go off and I eat three chocolate ice cream tubs. And then I have some, I don't know, whatever, but I go and try and stop my emotion with food. That's another impulse because I've suddenly had a new feeling in my body that I'm unfamiliar with. And this is jolting me. This is having me feel something that I think because I'm not used to feeling it is dangerous. That's all impulse. And so I don't think it really serves us in many instances. What do you think?
I love the fact that you finished it with a question for what I think about impulse. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but then we're looking at the impulses are the triggers, aren't they? So there's a belief. There's a belief about self that how we've been made to feel in any one present moment, we start creating a life focus through that lens. So if any given moment where, we've had flattery from another gentleman, using your story, not mine, but using that story, if the flattery of, oh, this person really likes me, but then we come from a place of self-worth where we don't feel like we're good enough to have that conversation, then the sabotage and the impulse pops up. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's how I just sort of laid it out for your inspection.
It's not. This is just a conversation. No, because that's so. So when I'm having these conversations, I'm looking at the impulses that I've had because I know I had to reframe when people, and we say we don't worry about what people call us, but it does pop up. It's like I take note when it's my wife that would say that I'm quite impulsive, but I think decisive. But that
Mm,
doesn't mean, yeah, I think I'm quite decisive because I don't mind making a decision because I don't have the fear behind the decision either way. I remember a book years ago, Katrina, called, I don't know if it's called The Hinge Effect, but it was all about what if. And it was the hinge effect about the decisions that we make. We only ever make the decisions in that present moment with the knowledge that we have. That knowledge might be fear-based at that moment, but the day after, when we've made the wrong decision, we now know we've got a hinge and a reasoning for, well, now I have more information.
mm,
And a lot of people will kind of have a lack of decision making because they fear the outcome. Whereas once we get to the outcome, we're like, well, we've learned that that didn't work. We can do this instead. Is that a get out clause? But I remember the hinge effect. It was called the hinge effect on the book. And I used to, it helped me make better decisions without the fear of an outcome that may or may not happen.
So I think with any fear-based decision making, it's always based on a foundation that cannot be perhaps, I don't know, that you can't stand fully behind. Because fear, as you say, what if? We're used to thinking, what if it goes wrong? And we are not at all trained into what if it goes right? And so our default is always to go to what if, and then we come up with some kind of disaster situation. So on impulse, we might say no. And whereas had we sort of tapped into our higher selves first and really listened from that place, we might see the fear, we might feel the fear, but we would know it was for us. So when you know yourself very well, you can make decisions really easily because you know whether it's something you want or something you don't want. And you also know whether it's something you want short term or whether it's something you want long term.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And yeah, this is resonating a hell of a lot with me right now, by the way, Katrina. I shit you not, seriously. Because I always remember that when we go back to our values, and we can start making better decisions of does this serve the values? And once we have that self-awareness of knowing who we are, which is not easy, by the way, for anybody watching this, some of the hardest questions we have to ask is who are we, and not get an answer, or get an answer that doesn't match with our values anyway. And I think that's really powerful, and that's why impulse, I'm sure, or erraticness is popping up quite a lot. But once we become aware of our emotional states, that I think it's
But can
powerful.
I just take you back to that night out in Paris, please?
Please do.
So I'm out with this guy. I think he's gorgeous. He invites me back to his place for the night. On impulse, I say yes because he's just drop dead gorgeous. I go to his place. I spend the night with him, with everything that that implies. And then I wake up the next day and I've got regrets. I've got regrets because I haven't checked in whether this guy is somebody I really want to be with. I haven't checked in with whether this is, you mentioned values, is in alignment with my values.
Mm,
And I haven't checked in with finding out whether this is really something that I want, something I desire. And so when we act on impulse, we might end up regretting it. So the business of a life coach is to help people make the decisions that they don't end up regretting because they know why they made them.
That's good. That's gold right there, Katrine. So now we've got a full grasp of what impulse is. How do we encourage
Impulse is
growth?
when you the impulse is when you give in to a momentary satisfaction. I've got a strong desire to spend the night with this guy. I take action on impulse. It could turn out well. We could get married, which is what I really wanted. We could have 10 children, which is what I really wanted, right? But we could also end up regretting.
So how would somebody in that moment be able to take stock and go, he's hot. I wouldn't say no, but how will I feel in the morning?
Yeah, exactly. But that then before asking yourself that, we really have to go into, well, what do I want?
Mm.
What do I want with this guy? Do I want some external validation or do I want to build my life with this person? I mean, what am I after? So when we're clear on our values, as you said, and what we desire to get out of life, when we've got our dreams right in front of us, well, then that's also such a powerful decision tool because we always know whether this will bring us closer to our dream or not. So let's say my dream was to get married and have 10 children. Then I could ask myself in that moment, oh, going to spend the night with this bloke, will that bring me closer to my dream or not?
So I have a question. How do we let and grow intuition? Where does it come from? I know you said higher self, but I'm thinking gut instinct as well.
Yeah.
How does somebody grow intuition?
Well, that's a brilliant question. I think it's
How can we
stick your
recognize
mind.
intuition more?
Yeah. So I think our intuition is from our higher self, and our higher self is not really busy. Our higher self is not busy with filling up our minds with thoughts. Our higher self is more onto, well, what is my connection really? What is my purpose here in life? How can I enjoy myself? What are my preferences? What am I here to accomplish? What do I want to experience? And and we don't really have access to that kind of thinking or that kind of knowing if we're always scrolling on social media, if we're always busy with the doing or always busy having our thoughts go in all directions. So to start tuning into our intuition and our higher self, which is really the same thing, is to become still. So it's spending time with yourself with no distractions. So it's sitting down in your sofa, closing your eyes, shutting off thought activity, and being with that.
And that's meditation. I'm really down with meditation, by the way. Oh, I love meditation. Do you know, it's one of those things with meditation as well that you do it until you start realizing there's a difference in your life, and then you stop doing it. Then the chaos comes back, the loud conversations come back, the impulses come back, and I often do forget. It's like, do you know what? Go back to meditation. That consistency of 5, 10 minutes a day of the clarity, allowing every thought to pass, knowing we don't need to engage with it, not stop thoughts, but allowing the thoughts to pass without engaging with everyone is actually a really powerful tool. I got that from a lot of the books that I was reading with meditation. So, how is intuition, or give me some examples of Katrina's impulses that didn't turn out well? Because there's always a story, and we can't have this is how we live without realizing there was a tipping point.
I think there were many in my life, many tipping points.
Mhm.
And going with impulses can turn out not very nice.
Mm.
Um, and there was a time, where I wasn't at all aware of what my values were, what my priorities were, where I could focus so that I would get to a place in my life that I would actually enjoy. I was sort of very much enmeshed with suffering, believing that life had to be hard and that you have to work hard, right? And that you had to accomplish and strive and struggle. So that was sort of my worldview. And you asked me what was the tipping point. Um, I think I'm experiencing tipping points every day because I'm going to get to be myself more and more. So I've always got those questions going on. And I'm sorry, I like to ask myself all the time, well, what would I prefer? What if this went really well? And so if I've got an impulse, I think, sorry, what could I have an impulse to do? I could have an impulse to go out and buy a lot of clothes because if they make me look good, I know that I'm going to enjoy that. But if my impulse is having set myself up, oh, I want some new clothes, then I'm much more likely to go and buy something that I don't really want and that doesn't really look good on me and that I'm going to be tired of very, very quickly, and that's going and to end up in the Red Cross instead of on me.
Mm.
So it's it's acting from desire, long-term desire, if that makes sense. It's acting on what I've decided I want out of my life. It's acting on those prompts. And it is being present with all the other prompts. And I'm calling intuition a prompt and I'm calling impulse a prompt. But it's deciding in the moment, is this an impulse that is just there to divert me from what it is I really want? Going back to that night out in Paris, if I'm just going to spend the night with this bloke to feel better because I'm getting some external validation and it has me feel good in the moment, well, then I might not want to take action on it because it might not get me closer to where it is I want to be.
It's kind of like taking a paracetamol for the pain quickly, just to for it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
It is.
The impulse of feeling better in that moment doesn't mean to say you'll feel better over the long term, whereas intuition might elongate the suffering a little bit, but it will help you longer towards the end. And we are pleasure-seeking human beings. We are. There's a lot of science behind that we choose pleasure over uncomfortableness, and the ones that are
Yeah,
more successful have chose uncomfortableness and lack.
I'm all for choosing pleasure. I mean, why wouldn't you?
I love that. Do you choose pleasure over? Is you choosing pleasure now aligned with your values, so it's intuition over and choose pleasure to forget the suffering?
Well, there's normally two sides.
Yeah.
I think that we have got a possibility for growth when we go in the direction of our dreams. So, let's say my dream is to live in a chateau here in France. I want to live in the beauty. I want to be able to have people come and stay with me. I want to have stimulating conversation. I want to have great dinners, all of that. So that is a dream of mine. So let's say somebody comes and tells me, oh, Katrina, come and spend a night in a chateau and we'll have gorgeous dinners and everything, and it's £5,000. I can sit here and think, oh, I really want to do that. But I really don't want to pay £5,000.
Mm.
So there's always a for and against. So this is when you bring in your intuition, because my impulse might say, I really want this, but I don't want to pay the 5,000, so I'm not going. Your intuition will not be so much about what you can analyze with your brain. It's much more about what you are drawn to. So again, you have to be able to calm down your thinking mind,
The monkey
go,
mind, I always talk about it, the monkey mind.
go into your body and feel where you are drawn. And so anything that has got the word chateau in it It's something that I'll think, this is for me. Oh, this is my path. This is where I want to go. So I can very, very quickly find out this is for me or this is not for me just by knowing, oh, chateau is on my radar. That is sort of a very tangible way of looking at it.
Because that creates the awareness. What we choose to look for grows, right? So even if it's Chateau on a bottle of wine, there's still one part of me noticing, oh, it says Chateau on that wine. I'll try that wine.
Yeah, it's just following the signs, isn't it?
Wow. So Katrine, how did you, I think I'm really proud, especially for coaches and things like, how did you grow your coaching business? I think it's a really powerful question. But now you understand impulse and intuition. I'm guessing the time when you first went on the journey of life coaching, you didn't understand impulse and intention because that's something that comes along. So when you first started growing your coaching business, what were some of the pitfalls that you found when you first started? If you could share 1 to 3 pitfalls that you
Yeah.
first encountered.
So the biggest one by far, like the most ginormous one, is that I couldn't get myself to believe in it. I couldn't believe that somebody would want to coach with me. Why would they want to do that? Because I'm not perfect. I'm not living my dreams because I've still got dreams that are unfulfilled.
Love that.
So, in my little brain, I was thinking people want to coach with people who've already created everything they want. So, I was thinking, yeah, it's true. I did go and play the harp for a number of years. I did go to music college in Paris. I did move to the south of France. I did buy my dream house. I did blah, blah, blah. I could think of a lot of things I did, which was what I could help other people do. But then I thought, oh, there's still things I want that I haven't accomplished yet. So that must mean I'm rubbish.
Yeah.
That was by far the biggest thing, like getting myself to see that I don't have to be perfect to be useful.
That is this has got to be a very common thing for a lot of coaches, myself included. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all got a version of that going on, don't we?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. Why would somebody want to work with us? When
Mm,
there is coaches around the world that seem to have the following, seem to have that, there's always that imposter that pops up and go, yeah, but you're not a Tony Robbins, or you're
mm.
not a Mel Robbins, or you're not a Jay Shetty. Those conversations are going to pop up for absolutely everybody, aren't they? I get that.
Another pitfall, and let me know if that was the same for you. I got very strategy obsessed.
Mm.
So we've got all these coaches out there who are ready to tell us how we can build our business. And so you do this and then you do that, and then the result will be this, and come to me and I will help you. And accept that how somebody else built their coaching business could be completely irrelevant to how I do it.
That's very true. You have to have a disclaimer. I've done that myself and said, look, this is what's worked for me in the past. It doesn't mean to say it's going to work for
Yeah.
you.
But I don't think coaching is about that. I think coaching is about revealing what's in the person. It's not about giving them a system that they can apply, because I think like 90% of what is going to make it work are all the beliefs behind it. So I have spent fortunes in strategies,
Mm.
right? I have spent fortunes in programs that would teach me blah blah blah. But the only thing really that's worth spending money on is my brain and my beliefs, I believe.
That is very true. That
Because
the brain and the beliefs, yeah, yeah, it's a constant barrage of belief breaking, isn't it?
it is.
It's a constant barrage of breaking the schemas that we have and the judgment we have for others. And yeah, So that's number two. I love that. Work on the beliefs. What's number three pitfall for Katrina?
Hmm. I think I sometimes wait. So I have to shake myself up
Mm.
and not wait. So I can sit here and think, oh yeah, I'll bring out my program later when I've done this and when that is in place, and this will be a good time and blah, blah, blah. So that can get me into a waiting position. And the thing is, when I'm waiting, everybody else is waiting. And if I'm waiting, people will wait to sign up and things will wait to fall into place and everything will be in a sort of waiting position because everything is mirroring what is going on in my mind, right? So when I'm in waiting position, everything else comes to a halt.
You've just touched on something there that everything is a mirror of what's on our inside, of what we're believing, thinking, feeling. So when there's chaos on the outside, it's the chaos in the inside that we have to work on, isn't it?
It is always.
Oh, I love that. I've had some chaos recently. And guess what? I've not been meditating. So that's three pitfalls. I love that. What's three must-dos for coaches when they first start? From Katrina, who is sat in a chateau in the Alps, what is three must-dos that Katrina would say, this is what's really helped me with my coaching business?
Um, it's always about me. So what somebody else thinks is completely irrelevant
Mm.
because it's only about me. I am my business.
Well, that's quite a different take on it, isn't it?
Why's that?
No, it's all about me. It's what I get that. I get that. I get that.
Well, the clients I've got, they come to me because I'm me. If I were you, then I would have different clients, wouldn't I? So anything I do to cultivate myself,
Yeah.
anything that supports me, it could be
Mm.
somebody to clean my house, or it could be a social media manager. It doesn't matter, but anything that supports me being at my best will be beneficial. So my thought is always, what can support me in being at my best?
Yes. I like that. And that's the art of delegation, isn't it? Because we can't do everything. Which a lot of
Well,
coaches, when you're new and you don't have the money, it is genuinely no, I can't spend money on that. I can't spend no, I'll do this and I'll do. I get that. 100% I get that. That's a great way to move forward. Second success for Katrine. For any coaches out there going, what is it I need to do to start?
I would say if you don't like social media, don't be on social media.
True.
I've got clients who are coaches and they say, oh, I don't like social media. Well, I don't either. So why would you go and bother?
It's the
Because
judgment of social media, isn't it? It's the judgment. Do you think that comes from the fear-based mind, the impulsive judgment of what people are doing on? Does that not come from our critical side of, oh, look at what that
of
person is
course.
doing on social media? So then we're going to start creating a concept of, oh my God, those people are going to judge me as well when I decide to go on social media.
But the phenomenon of social media is neutral. It just is. So it's how we think about it. But why would you spend time persuading yourself that you love social media if you don't? Why not just go and do something else? Because if you spend a lot of time posting on social media without enjoying it, that effort is just going to be a waste of time because the
Yeah.
energy behind it has been one that I don't like doing this.
Yeah.
So you can spend time and effort on getting into liking social media. You can change your mind around social media.
Mm.
But as you're doing that, let's do something else to grow your business.
Yeah.
There are a million ways of growing a coaching business.
There is networking. It's networking for me. It's the
Yeah.
face-to-face contact and conversations that I have. It's always not what you know, it's who you know.
It could be anything, really. It could be anything. But the thing that will help it work is if you believe it will work. If you believe it won't work, it won't work.
So number three is belief. Work on the belief of possibility.
I think you have to start seeing yourself as the expert. I
Which is
think,
quite daunting, isn't it? When you're not an expert or not, you don't deem yourself as an expert.
but it's a decision to take, isn't it? So many people spend a lot of time and effort on getting certifications. So they line up all their certifications till they've got so many of it. But when you look at it, and I've got degrees and certifications all over the place, but it's just really external validation that.
I've got a question for you. For any coach watching this, Katrina, has any one of your clients who's come to you said, "Can I see your certificate?"
No.
No, not one of them. Not one person has said, "Can I see your certificate?" That is genuinely, that is the mic drop moment of the amount of people I hear say, "I'm certified in this, I'm certified in this, I'm certified in this." And I always ask them, has any one of your clients ever come and asked you, do you have a certificate for that? No. So why do we use that as the selling technique instead of the outcome that you get for working with me? It's a mindset switch, isn't it? I look, yeah, that's gold right there, Katrina. Not one of my clients has ever asked for my certificates. The certificates are for you, not your clients.
Yeah, completely.
Oh, I love
But
that.
you really don't need, I mean, of course, you need training. I'm not saying
Oh,
that,
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not
No,
saying there's anything wrong with the concept, but you
no.
don't need them, is all I'm saying.
Yes. It's not the selling point, is it?
But it's not really a point for you to derive any kind of expertise through, because a piece of paper won't really name you expert, will it?
No, unless it's a really good book that you keep reading over and over, because that's a piece of paper. I absolutely have loved this conversation all the way from a chateau in the Alps in France. Is there anything else you want to share today, Katrine? Because by the way, and I always say this in the podcast, we when somebody comes onto the podcast, we literally have a 5 minute chat. This was all flow, organic, seeing how the conversation went. Some people love that, some people don't love that. Is there anything that you would like to ask, or is there anything you would like to share?
I just think that we can all gain as a society and as individuals by following our dreams because they know the way. And by that, I mean they know the way to our highest good. So stop the excuses, get onto yourself, find out what it is you really want, and then allow yourself to go after it.
The higher self is us without the noise, isn't it?
You could say that, yeah.
Ha! No, I think it's a really for somebody saying, well, what does the higher self mean? For anyone listening, I'm going to be going, well, the higher self is you without the noise, without the chatter, without the raw.
Without the traumas, without the life experiences, without the environment, and without the conditioning.
Yeah, that's the higher self. And it's always there, isn't it? We
Of
just
course it is.
Yeah, we choose to lose sight of it sometimes. Katrina, before we finish, has anybody ever told you you look like Pamela Anderson?
No, who is that?
Pamela Anderson is an actress in America.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
glamorous.
yeah, very famous. Yeah, Pamela Anderson now. She was in Naked Gun. She was in another movie, and she has a very natural beauty about her. And Pamela Anderson's gone through a whole life experience, and she's coming to a season where she has really grown in the acting. And there's there when I'm talking to her, I'm like, my God, she looks like Pamela Anderson now. I think she's just been doing some model shoots for a company and things like that. But no. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you so much for coming on to the Mind Management Mentors podcast. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an entire pleasure on my side. Thank you so much.
And honestly, I wish I could see outside to see the snow, but that's not for the podcast. You're absolutely fine. This podcast today, as we start wrapping up, thank you very much to everybody that watches the podcast, likes and shares and comments. We would love more comments. Comments are great for us to help to really share that algorithm. Whether that comment is a challenging on one of the ideas or the notions in the podcast, we're good, we're fine with that. Or whether we can, whatever we can do to help grow this channel and the membership that we have. Thank you so much. I'm a big believer if it's in the mind, it can be managed. And if it's not working on the difference between impulse and intuition, touching into our higher self, which is us without the noise, can be a really, really powerful concept. And I believe that Katrina is possibly that person that would be able to connect with your higher self. As always, big love from Cuddy, and we will see you on the next episode of If It's in the Mind, It Can Be Managed.